upon a time there was truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan, live. I tell you. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. Let me know if you could hear me and see me. Okay. Want to make sure, because we did some things, so I want to make sure that the desktop audio is working. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know in... Oh. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. 1, 2. Oh, echo? Ugh. Hold on. Do. 1, 2. So we want to turn that off. Nope, we don't want to turn that off. Nope, we don't want to turn that off. Darn it. Turn your volume down. Echo Jordan. Yeah, I see that. Hold on. One, two. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You're still getting an echo. Give me a sign. From high up there. Let me know if you're still getting an echo. Yodelay-hoo. It's fixed. Wow, I can't believe I fixed that myself. Wow. Exciting. So we got the green screen back. Still got to work on the lighting, but it's okay. Quite the busy news day. I have set up my green screen, and we've been working all day on some things. We have a bit of a YouTube problem going on, if you didn't notice. It seems like YouTube, who just implemented its new terms of service, I'm not going to get into it today, but I'll get into it another day, is making it even harder for people to see this channel. So our views are down across the board, and not only our live views, but our views on demand after. So you can help us out. You know the drill with our checklist. We need every one of you to hit that like button. Press the like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. The more people that press that like, the more people that will see the live stream. Super important. Also, join our text alert system. Very important way to get around some of this YouTube notification shenanigans. I guarantee you half of our subscribers, if not most of our subscribers, have no idea when we're live. So we're imploring people to text 474747 and then enter Coup, right? Coup, to join our text alert system. Makes a big difference. Follow us at Status Coup on the Twitter. We're live there on Periscope right now. Also, follow us on Twitch. We are at twitch.tv/Status Coup, and I believe we're live there right now, actually. So hi to our Twitch people. That's another great way for us to not be reliant on YouTube. And go to our website, which we have tweaked so it looks nice and new and fresh. We're going to totally redo the website at some point, but for now, we've kind of made some tweaks to make it look a little cleaner. So go to statuscoup.com, enter your email. Also, at the moment, it's not looking good. Not looking good to hit 1,000. But right now we're at 740 members. We keep growing, and then we lose some. We grow, we lose some. So if you're on the fence, we hope today's show will get you off the fence. And we also have some reporting our reporter Marcus has done in New Hampshire from a Joe Biden rally, which really made me actually laugh out loud. You know, people write LOL, but they don't actually laugh out loud. It's a pet peeve of mine. I actually laughed out loud when I saw that. Marcus is reporting one of his videos in particular. Jordan, green screen a photo of your kitchen. Oh, you like the kitchen more than the green screen? Well, all of this is a work in progress, so enjoy what you got. So, Pete Buttigieg, who the media has invented out of thin air, who is, by some polls, leading in Iowa, by other polls, leading in New Hampshire, all among white people. I mean, Pete, other than the, few people that he might be friends with that are black, overall, the black population, I think he's polling at 1%. 2% at the highest. But Pete Buttigieg is literally spawned out of the corporate media. I mean, this is what the corporate media and these elitist, out-of-touch idiots on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, this is who they swallow in and spit out. There's no there, as we've been reporting. And, he's gotten some critical coverage, in the last few weeks. So much so that he has now been transparent and said, I consulted with Blue Cross Blue Shield, this nonprofit, terrible vulture company who, full disclosure, I get my current health care from them, and it's terrible. He consulted for the Pentagon on their, valiant wasting of our lives and treasure in Afghanistan over the last 20 years. He only consulted for 3. Consulted for the EPA, which is also corrupt. Consulted for a shopping chain in Canada that was involved with a massive price fixing scandal. So he was on the A team in terms of consulting. And, his campaign, who, by the way, Jen could tell you, Jen's in the super chat, his campaign has as its spokesperson this woman, Liz Smith. Liz, if you're watching, we'd love to interview you. Who, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but Liz Smith is like your card-carrying member of the establishment corporate propaganda unit. She was a spokesperson for the IDC, which if you live in New York, the IDC was that group of Democrats that basically were Republicans. They voted with the Republicans in the New York State Legislature. She was a spokesperson for them. And now she is basically Pete Buttigieg's human armor. She goes after Warren for Buttigieg. She goes after Ryan Grimm. She goes after everybody. It's crazy. So, of course, the campaign put out, I didn't really do anything substantial with these companies that I consulted for. I just graduated from Oxford. I was a Rhodes Scholar, but they only wanted me, I did spreadsheets. I got people coffee, I helped with PowerPoints, because as Wendell Potter, a healthcare expert who used to work in Big Pharma, he's kind of come out in his second half of his life saying, I apologize for being part of the problem. He said, these companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield, they don't hire McKinsey consultants to do PowerPoints for them. So Pete's campaign has tried to spin this in a way that is not too damaging. They've tried to spin it in a way that is, I wasn't involved with policy for Blue Cross Blue Shield. I wasn't involved with people's plans getting hiked up. None of that. I wasn't involved with any of that, which, of course, is nonsense. And in the years that he consulted, prices did go up. And somebody was arguing with me on Twitter last night. Oh, Jordan, you don't care about, because jobs were lost in Blue Cross Blue Shield too in the years that Pete consulted. So she was saying, you don't care that under Bernie's Medicare for All plan, jobs will be lost in the private health insurance industry? And my answer is no, I don't. Sorry. Should I care if jobs are going to be lost in the fossil fuel company? What is the more dire thing? People losing their jobs or people losing their lives? I'm sorry for you if you're losing your job working in an industry that is causing people to die. You can eventually find another job or hopefully land on your feet. You might have that chance if you get laid off from Blue Cross Blue Shield and these other private health insurance industries. If somebody dies because you won't give them health care if they don't pay, they don't have that second chance. So this person on Twitter infuriated me. But anyway, while this is all going on, Pete released his list of clients. He also said, I'm going to let the press in to my lavish fundraisers, even though unless you're the New York Times, which apparently was allowed at his fundraiser, nobody even knows where the fundraisers are. Now, I'm not advocating people go to these fundraisers and do anything untoward or nothing violent. I want to be careful because YouTube has a new harassment policy, I think is out today too. And it basically presents anything. YouTube, when they like to add new policies, they tend to go a little too broad, if you know what I'm saying. So they have a new harassment policy, and you got to be careful because you don't want it to come off like you're inciting violence, which I always say, we're about peaceful protest here. This is a peaceful journalistic movement, a peaceful activist movement. So I'm not saying anything, we don't want to, do anything violent or, make rich people uncomfortable, whatever. Well, make them uncomfortable, but you know what I mean. But why shouldn't we know where these fundraisers are? If he's asking for people to give him money, small dollar people, shouldn't we know the big dollar people where he's going so people could protest outside? And some climate activists and other kinds of activists did exactly that outside his Park Avenue. Park Avenue, if you're unfamiliar, Park Avenue is one of the richest areas in the country. It is where a lot of Wall Street bankers live, a lot of very, very well-esteemed doctors live, trust fund babies live, top, the elite, the oligarchy lives on Park Avenue, on Madison Avenue, whatever. So let's see some of the protests at his Park Avenue fundraiser yesterday.
What does this say about Pete? Wall Street Pete, folks, look, we got our proof, but our mission is complete. He knows we're here. His people were out. As I went inside, his people all came down. They said, we are protesters. They know that we're here. They know we're here to ask questions and tell Pete to make billionaires pay and stop palling around with the people that have an oversized influence of our political process and our democratic life.
All right, all right.
Make billionaires pay!
Make billionaires pay! Make billionaires pay!
Well then, that was Elise, a friend of mine actually, I guess leading that protest. 580 Park Avenue, that is around 66th, 67th Street on Park Avenue. Pretty prime real estate. Pretty prime real estate. That's where New Generation Pete, he says he's the next generation. And I guess he's being honest when he says he is leadership. He's a different kind of leadership. Leadership outside of Washington, D.C. Because technically, Park Avenue is outside of Washington, D.C. That must be what he means. Must be. So, by the way, I didn't mention this is a super chat. So if you guys are feeling super or charitable today, let Status Coup know. While YouTube is throttling the hell out of us, we could really use your support. So what's amazing to me is while all this is going on, while Pete Buttigieg by progressives, while Pete Buttigieg by activists, while the media has close eyes on him, you got to give it up for him. Like Joe Biden, the arrogance has no bounds. He does a fundraiser with one of the richest men / families in the country. This is who the next generation of the next generation of leadership is, with a Rothschild heir. He told his fundraiser guests last night at the home of, that's where these protests were, Jeffrey Hogut, who is a Rothschild heir. Rothschild family, obviously one of the wealthiest families in the history of America. Nobody thought the mayor of South Bend was going to be an institutional fundraising power. The South Bend, Indiana mayor told about 80 donors gathered in the Upper East Side Manhattan apartment. Oh, what a fundraising power you are. A group of demonstrators outside the apartment building were outside calling him Wall Street Pete. He went on to say that quote, one of the first things you learn as a mayor, right, is to never say something. Never say something in the labor breakfast that you'd be embarrassed to have repeated at the chamber brunch, or vice versa. Buttigieg told donors, apparently referencing labor groups in the business lobby. He told donors he is making realistic promises that the government can afford, but also had some tax hikes he may be needed to pay for his plans. You know who said some of the same things, probably in the same exact apartment? Hillary Clinton. This is how Hillary Clinton spoke at massive fundraisers in 2016. You know, some little pillow talk, you know, kind of obligatory. Yeah, we're going to have to raise your taxes a little bit. But we're not going to do anything major here. Don't worry about it. And, you know, I'm not going to say anything here that I wouldn't say, you know, on Main Street. It's all so dishonest. It's all so ridiculous. It's all so Gilded Age. And yet the media doesn't care, because the media thinks highly of people who do fundraisers on Park Avenue. And just so you know, the person that he just did the fundraiser with, all this information is from Jen. She's writing a story on this for Status Coup. Jeffrey Hogut is a Rothschild heir, a family that is so wealthy, they not only owned, but have recently sold historic property in Austria. That's the size of Manhattan for $112 million. Hogut manages GRH Holdings, a real estate company. He's a Wharton grad, so definitely leader of the pack of the meritocracy. Big in work, banking, investment, equities, you name it. It's not his first rodeo. He gave $85,000 to the DNC during the 2016 campaign, and he gave near the max to Hillary's campaign for 2016. So clearly he doesn't mind wasting his money. He also has donated to the Clinton Foundation. He's also been embroiled in some crises. He's been on the International Advisory Council, which reports stopped coming out after 2014, so unsure of his current status. This is a status that comes from donating between $25,000 and $100,000 per year. He gave to this advisory council. He's also has this status with International Crisis Group. International Crisis Group says they are working to prevent wars. Oh, yeah. And shape policies to create a more peaceful world, says every warmonger that's ever lived. However, reporting from the Center for Economic and Policy Research in 2013 shows this may not be the case. Quote, the International Crisis Group sells itself as working to prevent conflict worldwide, but there is one country where the mission looks more like promoting rather than preventing conflict. Exhibit A in their report, Venezuela, released today. There's a lot wrong with this report. Most of it reads like a statement from Venezuela's political opposition rather than a neutral third-party observer. But the most ugly and pernicious thing is the report's insistence that the validity of the election result in Venezuela needs to be clarified, and that a fully transparent audit is necessary, or else the government's rule will increasingly come to be seen by many as an imposition. Oh, interesting. These statements strongly imply that the Venezuelan government is to blame if the opposition returns to violence. What exactly is in Venezuela that a bunch of bankers might want access to? Jen, do you know what is in Venezuela that some bankers might want access to? Anybody know? What is it? Is there gold, buried treasure? What is in Venezuela that Jeffrey Hogut would want access to? I just can't think of it. Oil. The world's largest oil reserves. No wonder. This man who gave all this money to this group that doesn't want war, they just want peace. He wants that oil, baby. It's all about the oil. And Pete Buttigieg, you know how Fox News used to say Obama, he's palling around with the terrorists? Pete Buttigieg is palling around on Park Avenue with the fossil fuckers. Ooh! Demonetized. Demonetized. I need your help. Swear jar. Super chat. I mean, honestly, and I'm not defending Barack Obama, don't get me wrong, but Obama, it was a little more subtle than this. It's a little more subtle than this in 2007 and 2008. They called him the audacity of hope. He wasn't like doing fundraisers on the reg on Park Avenue. He wasn't doing fundraisers with the very people that were like trying to steal Iraq's oil. I mean, this is going too far. Jordan has seemingly unlimited resources of natural gas. That's kind of true, actually. Thank you for the super chats, by the way. Princess Powerpuff, $6.99. People, take some Bernie literature and videos and talk to seniors in retirement communities. They only see MSM. It's a great idea, actually, if you have the time to do that. Trendy ass dabbers, $5. Pelosi knew there was no nukes in Iraq and did nothing. Should she be impeached for 200,000 dead? Have you seen her admit this? Yeah, she just admitted it, actually. Something came out of her admitting there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but she still felt, regardless of that, Bush shouldn't be impeached. Krillin, $8.76, $2. One-Eyed Willie's Rich Stuff. So, what's so audacious about this is, honestly, and by the way, the UK has their prime minister election tomorrow. There's a lot of problems with the UK's press, but at the very least, you would have some journalists in the UK that call bullshit on Pete Buttigieg. You would have some journalists in the UK that actually challenge him on his claims of being some type of next generation. And by the way, Bernie Sanders tied in Iowa. So the people of Iowa do have a problem with establishment toadies, corporate whippersnappers, frauds like this. But most of the people of Iowa that are buying what this guy's selling have no clue about the real Pete Buttigieg. Not a clue at all. Thank you, trendy ass dabbers. $5 in a super chat. Global dimming is our pollution protecting us from the sun's heat. Stopping global industry will destroy our so-called force field thoughts. Email me. I have no idea what that means. info@statuscoup.com. By the way, we have almost 300 people watching live. 173 of you have pressed that like button. So we need more of you to press that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. The more people that press that thumbs up, the higher the views will go. So help us out. So what's amazing to me about all this, while Buttigieg is going to kiss the ring of Rothschild's heirs, you have Liz Smith. Again, if you're coming to this late, Liz Smith is essentially his corporate establishment shield, his princess in shining armor, because she's a woman. She's just on a rampage on Twitter, going after anyone who dares challenge, investigate Pete Buttigieg. So Ryan Grimm accurately reported that Buttigieg, while a consultant at McKinsey, helped raise premiums and lay off workers for Blue Cross in Michigan. So Liz Smith she doesn't really give an explanation for what he got wrong, just saying outside of the company name, this thread was wrong, and Exhibit A of how disinformation and hyperbole spreads online with zero accountability. So Ryan Grimm of The Intercept then just responded with a tweet from Adam Green of Bold Progressives, and Adam Green of Bold Progressives tweeted out this. This is Buttigieg in 2011 when asked about his role as a McKinsey consultant.
One of the things I did for a living was just that. So I remember one of the things I did for a living was just that. So I remember one client's organization that was a large insurance firm that had grown in such a way that there was a great deal of duplication, and some people didn't even know what the people working for them were doing. I don't know that that's the case, but we do need to look hard to find out.
So the audio wasn't great on that, but basically he was saying one client, Blue Cross Blue Shield, had duplication. They love when they want to lay off people to grease their profits. They love to say duplication, repetition. Some people didn't even know what the people working for them were doing. This is what he said. So of course, Pete Buttigieg's campaign wants to sit there and pretend that no, he just did spreadsheets while a consultant for this mammoth healthcare company. He wasn't involved with policy, none of that. No. Of course, they brought him in to consult because their profits were down. So guess what? They hiked prices for your health insurance if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they laid people off. I don't really care, to tell you the truth, about them laying people off. I don't want to sound heartless, but I'm not so concerned about the people's jobs in private healthcare. I don't think there should be a private health share industry. I'm sorry if you fall on hard times because you lose your job. What can I tell you? I'm sorry. Do I think it's good that Bernie's Medicare for All plan involves a transition plan? Yes. But my main concern is all the people being deprived of health care. My main concern is people rationing insulin and other things. My main concern is people literally choosing to just struggle with heart palpitations, crippling body pain, then go to the emergency room. I know many of them right now in Flint, Michigan, who, still a national scandal, does not have clean water, and still, to this day, does not have expanded Medicare for Flint residents for the man-made water contamination that befell on them through no fault of their own. So Pete Buttigieg, his qualifications, he went to Oxford, so he is definitely one of these Harvard high-class establishment guys, got the education, he's the leader of the pack, he checks all the boxes of the meritocracy, and he could have had any job he wants, but he goes to McKinsey. Again, if you don't know, McKinsey does consulting, which is just another word for helping companies figure out how to lay people off, how to screw people, how to jack up their health care, how to cover up their contamination. A lot of these companies that they consult for are chemical companies, how to launch unnecessary, immoral wars around the world. He consulted for the Pentagon while we were wasting, if you read that Washington Post story, while we were literally in a war that had no mission. Literally in a war in Afghanistan with no mission, no actual enemy, just chasing our tail between our legs to the tune of $1 trillion. But he just did PowerPoints. Oh, we're going to get to Tulsi. I have some words for Tulsi today. Some of you aren't going to like it, but I just have to keep it real. So, honestly, I'm checking Pete's calendar. We have somebody that we're going to use as a camera person. It's time for me. It's time for me to get out in the field and cover Mr. Buttigieg. What do you think? So we're going to definitely, probably when he gets to New Hampshire, we'll be up there. If he doesn't approve my credentials to get into one of his rallies, then That'll be a story in itself, but let's just give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not such a greaseball that he won't approve our credentials. So we're going to be trying to get into his New Hampshire events coming up. And obviously we're going to interview his supporters, and I'll have some probing questions for them. And if I get the chance to get up to Mr. Pete, I have quite a few questions. I don't want to give it away right now, but I do have quite a few questions about his time in South Bend, Indiana, the gentrification going on there, the fact that homeless people have nowhere to go during the daytime hours currently in the frigid winter. I have some questions about his relationships with the black community there. I have some questions about how much have you actually been there over the last 3 years, considering you've been running for DNC chair and now the presidency. I have some questions. And Shay, I could walk and chew gum at the same time. We're going to be covering Biden as well. But I do not agree with you that Pete's already fading. He's still a thumb. He's a thorn in progressive side in Iowa and New Hampshire. But we're going to get to Biden too. And we're also going to play a video that actually caused me to laugh out loud. If you saw Marcus's interview with a kind of a Bernie-leaning voter in New Hampshire that literally just went to hear Joe Biden, went to one of his rallies to just hear him say, and I quote, stupid, dumb shit. So, moving on, and remember to press that like button. We got 320 people watching, 229 likes. Also, for those of you that are interested, we are trying to grow our membership. Again, we're in the field. Marcus was just covering an event for Joe Biden in New Hampshire. I'll be going out either this weekend or next week, probably to New Hampshire. Jen and I are also in the final stretches of this major story we've been teasing to you. So now is as good a time as ever to fund real journalism. Join us, statuscoup.com, $5 to $10 a month makes a huge, huge difference. So I want to get into something that's a little bit of a sensitive topic. And, if you dare say anything that comes off untoward against Tulsi Gabbard, in some quarters, you are described as smearing her. You are described as being, Satan's spawn, basically. And for the record, Tulsi Gabbard is my number 2. After Bernie, I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I do find some things questionable, but overall, I think compared to Warren, she's a lot more progressive. I think compared to a lot of things, a lot of other candidates, she would be my pick. I do find some inconsistencies. I've talked to you about the fact, why is she doing off-the-record fundraisers? Off-the-record conversations and meetings with Wall Street executives. I don't like that. There's been some inconsistencies there. And also, I think in some cases, she's been taken a little while to come out against certain concerning things. But I also question at this point, what exactly is she trying to achieve? I'm all for, a protest candidate, but I'm not for a protest candidate if it's going to basically serve as a spoiler to a real progressive candidate. So she announced, I don't have the tweet in front of me, but a couple days ago, that whether she qualifies for this next debate on December 19th, so 8 days from now, she's not going to attend. She said that she thinks it's a waste of time. She put debates in quotes, which I agree with her. I don't think these are much of a debate at all. And basically said she'd rather spend her time, on the ground, talking to the people of New Hampshire, Iowa, whatever. So, listen, I'm a pretty outside the box guy, but to me, that makes no sense. I understand the debates are unfair. I understand they are giving you limited time. But if you seriously, genuinely are running to win, if you are running to be in this thing through Iowa, through New Hampshire, all that, if you qualify, you have to be there. And in the 40 seconds they give you, in the 2 minutes she gives you, she has shown she has the ability to do damage. So I think it's wasteful not to go. But I also wonder if you're not going to debate, then okay, I don't think that's the right strategy, because your name is going to be basically coming up as not participating, which the media is going to spin against you. But to me, if you're choosing not to debate, I'm starting to question, are you in this to actually win? Because if you're not into this, if you're not in it to win, then the secondary question needs to come up. You know, Elizabeth Warren, for example, actively, through doing nothing, sandbagged Bernie Sanders. Now, in 2016. Now, I'm not saying Tulsi Gabbard, it's Tulsi Gabbard's responsibility to help Bernie Sanders. But clearly, Tulsi Gabbard is closest to Bernie Sanders. So I look at some of the polls right now. You have this new New Hampshire poll that came out. She's 5% in New Hampshire. Bernie's at 15% in New Hampshire. You look at some of the Iowa polls. She's at 5-6%. Well, how are you going to get up in the polls if you don't debate? Secondly, it seems that she's been around. I mean, she has risen a little bit. She's been around 1%, 2%, 3%, and now 5%, 6%. But I'm saying to myself, what's fundamentally going to change here to get her to 9%, 10% in Iowa, in New Hampshire? So then you have to get to the numbers, because I don't think Tulsi is hurting Bernie as much in Iowa as I think in New Hampshire. I mean, you look at the age demos, 18 to 29, obviously Bernie dominates there, 28%. Gabbard is 5%. If Tulsi's not in it by New Hampshire, most of that goes to Bernie. Same thing for these other age demos. And I'm just looking at this. I know some of you aren't going to like it. You're going to say, you shouldn't be, Tulsi, should see this through, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is, if your goal, Tulsi Gabbard's goal, is to get leadership in there, to take out the military-industrial complex, well, the bottom line is, by not debating, again, I get it if she didn't make the qualification, if she didn't make the debate, but she was signaling before the qualification, before it was even known if she was going to qualify, that she would not participate. So the bottom line is, the rubber is meeting the road here. You're either in this to win it, or you have to make a decision. Can my 5% go towards someone who is closest to carrying out what I want? You guys might disagree with me, but that 5% she has is very, very valuable and could be the difference in New Hampshire. I think there's a much better chance that Bernie wins New Hampshire than Iowa at this point. Iowa is a lot more unpredictable. I think Iowa is a caucus system. People could, particularly the unexpected, the first-time voters could a week before say, oh, I'm going to go out, and then it's snowy, or they just don't feel like it, or whatever. Whereas New Hampshire, it's a primary. It's a simpler process. You go, you vote. You don't have to go through this whole thing. So, to me, you look across the board, 5%, 6%. If even 2% of that 5% goes to Bernie, that could be the difference. So, my question is, what does Tulsi Gabbard see as her path to win? I think she should stay in the race through the new year. I do. Continue your events in Iowa. Continue your events in New Hampshire. But if we're talking beginning of the new year, middle of January, if you're still at 4 or 5%, if you're not rising, I'm just talking as a progressive. I don't want to take away from her message, but that percentage, this is just the math, could put Bernie over the top. We know Warren's not dropping out. And, there's going to be people who say, oh, Jordan is telling Tulsi to be a good girl and step aside for the man. It's not about her being a woman. I'm just making that clear. It's about, if you want a progressive to win this thing, Bernie's got to win Iowa or New Hampshire. That's just the case. He has to win Iowa or New Hampshire. So how you're either passionate about staying in just to keep getting your message out, or you're passionate about a progressive winning, particularly one who has voted against these insane defense budgets, who has called for an end to these wars, who has voted against these wars, and is consistent with your ideology. So I'm officially saying I think she should drop out if she has not risen significantly by early next year. I do not think she should. If she wants to go to Iowa, fine. But even that is a little risky, because if she drops out after Iowa, it's not a guarantee that all of her voters are then a week later going to vote for Bernie the week later. And, I see people saying F that, this and that. I get it. I happen to like Tulsi in some areas, in a lot of areas. But at the end of the day, this is about winning and losing. If progressives want to run just to have their message out, then we could be running to have our message out for the next 20 years. But if you want to run to win, then something's got to give here. Warren is taking away from Bernie, way more than Tulsi is. But that 4 or 5% of Tulsi, I mean, if she gets up to 8%, 9%, 10%, I think she should stay in and let the cards fall where they fall. But if you're at 5% and it's not rising, and now you're saying you're not going to debate, I don't get. You've gotten your message out. The media has been unfair. I don't want to belittle it. The media has done to Tulsi what they did to Bernie in 2016. They have been completely disrespectful to her. They have been McCarthyite scum. And let's not belittle that, but that's the truth. But this is reality. So if you want to talk pragmatism here, this is the pragmatic thing. Because Pete Buttigieg ain't dropping out. Biden ain't dropping out. Warren ain't dropping out. I think Booker will drop out after this next debate. But Yang's not dropping out. That 2-3% could make a big difference. Don't want to miss your super chats. Kelly Elaine, $2. So YouTube recognizes status quo as financially viable. Don't jinx it. But yes, so far. And thank you for the $2. While they recognize us as financially viable, they are squeezing the hell out of us and suppressing the hell out of us. So there you go. Denise Hartle, $9.99. It is a real loss for Tulsi not to be on that debate stage. Wow, such a poor strategy. Why would she do this? It is such a loss for progressives. This moves make me angry, actually. Tell you the truth, Denise, it could be that for whatever reason her campaign thought or had intel that she wasn't going to qualify, so they preemptively said, well, I'm not going to do it anyway. It's like breaking up with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Like, they're going to break up with you, so you break up with them first. I might have done that once or twice in my life, but I don't get it. I get it that we all want to say F the DNC, but it's a bad strategy if you're trying to win to not participate in the debate. Take the 3 minutes you might get in the whole debate and just sling arrows. And when they try to cut you off, don't let them. That's what I have to say. William James, $4.99. Anyone worried that Pete got recruited by DOD while at McKinsey? No Harvard grad just joins military while making bank at McKinsey. DOD was a client. That's a very good point, William. That is a very, very good point. Jen, who's in the super chat, is on LexisNexis like nobody's business. So we're looking into Pete, and we might look into that too. Jenny, nitpicking on Tulsi, Jordan. I'm not nitpicking. I'm just telling you the truth. She's been at 4 or 5%. Some polls 6. Now she's saying she's not. She might have not qualified anyway, but she's saying I won't debate. Well, if she's not going to debate on this one, is she going to debate in January before the Iowa caucus? Because there's going to be a debate in January. Is she going to debate before the New Hampshire primary? Because I believe there's 2. After this debate, there's 2 more debates, I believe, before Iowa and New Hampshire. If you're not going to debate, then you're just going around to make your point. And as a progressive, I don't want somebody going around right now to make their point. I want to consolidate that progressive support for one candidate, because there is a gazillion candidates, and now you have Michael Bloomberg has literally spent $100 million, $100 million in less than 3 weeks. You have Tom Steyer. I think he's spent 75 or 80. So now is not the time to make your point if you don't think you could win. If in her mind she truly thinks, if her campaign sees some way to skyrocket or have a moment, then do it. But I'm just keeping it real. You want to say that's nitpicking? So be it. Artificial Morphison, $5. Did you hear Warren virtually pick Kamala for VP? She didn't pick her, but she said she would consider it, which to me is disqualifying. That you would pick Kamala Harris as your vice president. Thank you for the $5. Trendy's Dabbers, $5. Bernie's Twitter has 10 million followers to Trump's 67 million. Can we get Bernie to 100 million? Twitter.com/Bernie Sanders. Please share this everywhere. Hey, let's first get Status Coup to 20,000. We're at Status Coup. Follow us. But yes, you should follow Bernie too. So that's what I think. That's what I think about what's Tulsi doing. Am I wrong? Let's take the temperature here. Trendy, I didn't skip you. I just read yours. Am I wrong about what I'm saying about Tulsi? Because I know there's another channel out there, I'm not going to mention their name, who, if they see this, they're going to go do 2 or 3 videos calling me Satan for daring to suggest Tulsi Gabbard, don't stay in this. Don't stay in this if you don't think you could win. Don't stay in this in a way that's going to take away votes from Bernie. Because to me, Bernie is the closest thing to your ideology. She's not running for Congress anymore for re-election, so she's not going to be able to politically make change as an elected official. Maybe she'll run for Senate. I don't know. But am I wrong, folks? Tulsi and Bernie have a strategy. Please tell me if you have inside information. Maybe the debate is the time to announce Vice President Bernie. Possibly. She also mentioned Biden as a vice president. I did see that. Quite disgusting. 100 million for 6% support. Tulsi should make it to the debate if she can. I agree. And Jen, check me. Before I went live, is the deadline for the qualifying polls over? I didn't think it was. So I think there's still time for her to qualify if she gets, I think it was 5% in one more poll, but I could be wrong. Jerzen, I don't know. Let's wait and see. So I see a lot of, you're correct, Jordan. So I see a lot of Elizabeth Warren comments, and I'm going to get to her next because there's, something going on here. But in case you miss, because YouTube doesn't always notify you when we're live, want to play you some of Marcus's reporting in New Hampshire. He just had an interview with a Bernie-leaning woman who had some questions, comical questions, or shall I say, interest in why she went to go see Joe Biden at his rally. Here we go.
Marcus Ely here again for Status Coup in Nashua, New Hampshire at the Joe Biden event. And your name again was?
Allie Beaton.
All right. So can we talk a little bit about what brought you in today to Joe Biden's event?
I just needed somewhere to go on a Sunday morning.
So the entertainment?
I'm really here for the circus factor. Yeah.
Okay. So what in specific in regards to it being a circus are you looking forward to?
What I'm really hoping for is that Joe is going to say or do something stupid, and I'll be here to see it live.
I'm sorry. I love you so much.
Hi, Mom.
I love you so much right now. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. Focus. All right. So, of course, there's the Joe Biden gaffes. Do you think that those may be a part of a mental issue with him, or do you think that he's just a goofball?
I only play a doctor on TV. I don't think anybody who's in this field is necessarily mentally stable or completely, all there. So it wouldn't surprise me. But, I haven't seen him do any, or, he says really dumb, but I haven't seen him do or say anything that would make me think, oh my God, this guy's dangerous or senile or whatever. He's just old and dumb.
Yeah.
Unaware.
Stereotypical old white dude. Huh? So these folks, a lot of folks here, I've talked to one centrist guy that basically said George Bush was a great person and he'd love to have a beer with him, despite
Which one though?
the guy I just talked to.
No. I mean,
The second one. He said
the one that sent our generation
Yeah.
off to die for
Yes.
oil? Okay, go on.
he said it again.
I said the one that sent our generation off to die for oil?
Yeah. That one.
Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
Yeah. So, and he also said that he cared more about the words than the actions, and argued for not having universal health care because Canada waits for forever. So that's the attitude he tried to tell the younger generation as a centrist, and I was just like, okay, boomer.
Yeah.
So like, this is pretty much the audience we're dealing with here. If you could say something to this audience, they're probably not going to look at this, but just on the random chance that there's one or two of them that are looking at this and are like, those darn millennials and Gen Xers, they're ruining everything. So what would you say to those folks?
Aside from hurry up and die and let us fix everything, look outside your own self. Look outside your own self.
So what I'm kind of wondering what candidate you are what candidates you are looking at right now.
Honestly, I'm really wanting to write in my dog or my mom. Nobody really super appeals to me. If you were to kind of hold me down and tell me vote for someone, probably Bernie. But that's still kind of a tenuous. I don't really like anyone right now.
So why is Bernie tenuous at best for you?
There are things about him that I don't like. I don't feel that he's very electable. I don't feel that. I feel like he says all the right stuff and knows how to get people to listen to him. I don't know that he can really put things into effect. I don't know that he's going to have the buy-in that he needs to, actually get us universal health care or get us student loan forgiveness or, any of the things that, folks our age or folks who are going to be around for a while are actually going to care about. I don't know that he's going to be able to unify.
And folks are probably going to tear you up in the comment section, but like I just want to clarify, like what she's talking about is being able to get things done, in that there is going to be a huge fight from the center and the right uniting against Bernie Sanders if he becomes president, to make sure that those things don't happen, because the money that they come from is going to lose a lot of money, and it's going to hurt their investment in them. So it's just, that is a fact of life. If there is a President Sanders, that there's going to be a huge unified center and right against the left.
Correct.
So if we had to hold you down, Bernie's not an option. Who's number two? Is there even a number two? Is that even a possibility for you?
I've got a cat who's almost old enough to run.
Got a cat.
No, I mean,
What's the cat's name?
his name is Chuck.
Chuck for president.
Fritz Irwin Unicron Cargo Pit Charles something or other, I don't know. He has a full name and it's really long and dumb. But no,
I'm with it.
honestly though, I would really have to think long and hard about that. Part of me thinks, okay, well, go for the next. If we're looking at them on a continuum and we're looking at Bernie being as far left as we can get right now, then we kind of start like working inward, and maybe Elizabeth Warren, but I still think she is too problematic too. So
There's a lot of issues, and then her backing off of Medicare for All recently. She tried to triangulate with the centrists and make everybody happy, and then when you try to make everybody happy, nobody's happy.
Well, and I mean, the thing we keep in mind, though, with Medicare for All is that Medicare as a program sucks. It's a lot better than what most people have. Like right now, I just have crossed my fingers and don't die. But so Medicare might be better, but for us to be holding the bag for 20% of everything and saying, hey, that's a great solution.
So you can watch the full interview. It's up.
So you can watch the full interview. It's up on the channel. Watch the full interview. It's up on the channel. So enjoy that. So some other videos Marcus did. He got into it with a Trump supporter who not only doesn't give a damn that Trump is killing children at the border, but she has a warning for you. They're coming for us at the Canadian border too. So go check out that video. We'll be publishing some of his other videos in the next couple days. The woman had me at first. You know, personally for me, if I'm bored on a Sunday, like I walk my dog, I don't know, take a bath. Well, I do that every day. I don't go to Joe Biden rallies, but everybody is different. So, you know, thought those comments were funny. Obviously, she knows Joe Biden is batshit, but she kind of lost me with the Bernie talk because it's like, well, why do you think he's not going to be able to get anything done? He's forced Amazon to raise the minimum wage. He's the reason you have all these young people involved. So I think she's kind of sitting on the fence a little. I don't know how old that woman was, but, you know, she wants Bernie-like change, but she still has that kind of old school cynicism that, like, we could actually get anything done. So she was, like, almost there for me, but then she lost it. So, but this is why it's important to get out there and interview people and give a voice, give the microphone to the people, because we could show you the polls, but it's a lot more reflective and instructive to see what's actually going to happen by showing you the voices behind the polls, showing you the indecision in people's minds, showing you the wrong-headedness in people's minds, showing you the voters, and showing you what people are going through. Craig, you take a bath every day? I figured you showered. I do take a bath every day. That's where I do my best tweets. I write in the bath. So, yes, I do take a bath every day. I shower, too. So, yes. But overall, I think that it's going to be very important for us to get on the ground in New Hampshire. So I'll be there, I don't know about this weekend, but definitely next week. Just getting, we have a camera person that's working with us kind of event by event right now. So once we get that person up to gear, we're going to be hitting the road. I'm hoping this weekend, but probably next week. So lastly, and by the way, just a reminder, a lot of you are already with us, but if you're not, sign up. We got to get these numbers up. I'm just keeping it real. We keep going up and then down, going up, getting down. So help us out. Statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 a month. It makes a big, big difference. We got plans for everybody. We're not Warren. We have $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. Makes a big, big difference. And you also get great bonus content. So lastly, Elizabeth Warren, now that her campaign has stalled, is apparently doing a second act. She is, softening or going harder against Pete Buttigieg. As the New York Times reports, she's trying to accentuate the fact that she is a woman more, and kind of without saying anything negative about Bernie, focus on her being a woman to kind of show that as a difference, yada, yada, yada. But now she's trying to, like on other things, reinvent herself as being kind of against the warmongers. This is the Pentagon's budget has been too large for too long. I cannot support a defense bill that's a $738 billion Christmas present to giant defense contractors and undermines our values and security. That's why I supported one for $715 billion the year before. She goes on to say the NDAA does nothing to end our disastrous and inhumane support for Saudi ops in Yemen, nothing to prevent a war with Iran, and permits the deployment of a destabilizing, low-yield nuke weapon. For that and 738 other billion reasons, I don't support the bill. So if you come from the school of politics or naivete that says, well, Jordan, better late than never, right? Better late than never. she's against it now. Then God bless you. But why is she against it now? What's the difference between 738 billion and 715 billion? And she has not been, she's not been challenged really on her foreign policy. On a debate stage, Bernie's kind of alluded to, he's the only one that's voted against these massive defense budgets. I think he was wrong on that. I don't think Tulsi's voted for them. But she essentially, in some areas, she does little accounting tricks to make it look like she's against big money in politics. We know she was doing these massive fundraisers in her Senate re-election campaign, and then just transferred the money over to her presidential campaign and said, I don't do big fundraisers, see? So she does big fundraisers. She just did it as a senator in her last re-election in 2018 and then just transferred it over. And now she's trying to make it look like she's pounding her chest, I'm against the military-industrial complex, when she voted for a $715 billion defense budget. I didn't hear Elizabeth Warren leading the fight with Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders on Yemen either. Did you? Because in that tweet, she's mentioning Yemen. So it's not enough to be on the right side now. You need to be on the right side consistently. And if you haven't read the Washington Post story, I don't often credit the Washington Post, but in this case, it's one hell of an investigative story. Read it. I read the whole thing. It's long, but it's worth it. Elizabeth Warren voting for that $715 billion defense budget, a lot of that money was going towards the immoral, wasteful, totally nonsensical war in Afghanistan that she helped make happen in that vote. And of course, Bernie Sanders has gotten some votes wrong. But there's proportions, folks. I don't believe that Elizabeth Warren is going to put a dent in the defense budget as president. Do you? I don't believe she's going to take on Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and Boeing. Do you? I was not born yesterday, and you shouldn't be either. And I'd like to see some people challenge her on this. And yes, when we go to New Hampshire, we'll be covering her too. And we'll probably be going to Iowa soon too. So, we got to be frugal. We don't have all the money in the world, but we're working on it. Your super chats help. And more importantly, you signing up as a member helps. But the thing about Warren that concerns me is she is in this, to me, because she wants to be president. I think she genuinely doesn't like the banks, doesn't like this stuff. But I think her main conviction is she wants to be president and she doesn't like the banks and Wall Street. But she's kind of doing a Mitt Romney here and etch-a-sketching all over the place. First she was with Bernie. Now she has a mangled healthcare plan. First she votes for the defense budget that was ridiculous and immoral. Now she's against big defense spending. Never said a word on Yemen. Now she's, a fighter on behalf of the children and women getting massacred in Yemen. Who is Elizabeth Warren really? I knew who she was when she got into the Senate. It was a lot clearer then. Right now, I don't know. I do not know. I don't believe Warren could challenge the military-industrial complex for a second. Whether she could or not, I don't think she's going to try to. I at least know Bernie would. And I know Tulsi would. Liz just wants the banksters to behave. It's like Hillary Clinton. Just cut it out. All right, folks. That's it for today. Had a lovely time, as always. I'll be back at it tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern. A couple public service announcements. Jen is working on a written story, so look out for that on statuscoup.com. Jen and I are working on this big story that, fingers crossed, will be out this month or early next year, but it's sooner to getting out than it has been, thankfully. Also, sign up as a member. We'll have our monthly members call probably next week or the week after. And I think this one's going to be a bit of an extravaganza, the last one of the year. So we'll have a really fun monthly members call. Like I said, I'll be out in the field either this weekend or next week. So stay tuned for that. And as always, we appreciate you liking our videos, sharing our videos. We're getting squeezed very, very hard right now on YouTube. So extra likes help. And definitely, if you haven't yet, for the holiday season, sign up. Give a gift to yourself and independent journalism. Statuscoup.com, statuscoup.com/join. Thank you. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.